Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This is an amazing day, and it's not just me. There's a whole team that puts all the products and all the technology that we put out there. We've got some more exciting customer stories to talk about, some really awesome product demos, and more importantly, some great product announcements to do. I can't wait to get started. I want to start by making an observation. These LEDs, there's so much technology that we live in today, even compared to about 10 or 15 years ago. Our smartphones, our social media, the data that we collect about ourselves, the data that we collect about our behavior, about how we live our lives, fundamentally transform what we do on a daily basis. The progress that we've made in the information age is an astonishing feat of human achievement. Yet, we haven't freed people from the mundane. There's a good chance that many of you today feel more busy and more stressed than ever before. Wasn't technology supposed to give us more time? Wasn't it supposed to help us spend more time with leisure, spend more time with family? It's not just you who's feeling that way. The reality is that productivity growth is actually slowing. I like this quote from a man who spent a lifetime researching, studying, teaching economic progress. So let's look at the data and the statistics behind this. If you look at the data, we'd see that the rate of productive growth accelerated all the way until the year 2000 and has since then been declining. Why is that? For all the amazing technology that we have around us, why is that happening? Let's look into it a little bit more. So, what was happening in the late 90s? Companies were looking at existing processes, and they were saying, let's put in a new ERP system and optimize that process inside the four walls of that company. They were making investments to modernize their existing applications for the year 2K. We also had another huge thing happening, which is productivity applications like spreadsheets. They were getting deployed in bulk, making spreadsheets available everywhere. People were getting more productive. And I think that led to the peak of employee productivity in the late 90s all the way up to 2000. What happened since then? Businesses got more complex. We had the internet. We had geo-aware, location-aware devices. We had the sharing economy. You could no longer just optimize processes within the four walls of your company. You had to look at the entire value chain and see how do you look at optimizing processes across the entire value chain. New business models came into force. Traditional industries got disrupted. All of that required companies to rethink processes, to reimagine how they wanted to do business. And there's a new layer of complexity that came in that made sure that our productivity growth was actually slowing. So we've got this plethora of technologies today. We got better and faster with the technology, but it all doesn't work well together all the time. All these things are making us less productive. So what are companies doing to respond to that? They're starting initiatives for digital transformation to change the employee experience, to change the customer experience, to change the way they work with suppliers and vendors. They're investing in capabilities such as cloud, which makes a lot of sense. You're taking away your data center costs and operations and letting somebody else that has more experience run it so that you can go focus on solving business problems, not on managing infrastructure. Companies are investing in AI. It is everywhere. It's in our lives as consumers. It is coming to our lives in the enterprise as well. How can we leverage AI to make more decisions, to make more predictions, to get smarter? Companies are investing in low-code development platforms. Business is more now driving technology, more decisions, so that they can get to where they need to get to quickly without having to run large, long time frame IT projects. All of these investments are great. However, they're not helping drive transformation the way we expected them to. Why is that? If you look at cloud SaaS apps and low-code development platforms, they're actually creating more silos across your business process because you're applying best-of-breed SaaS apps. You're building low-code application for what you need to do at this point in time. AI is not yet deployed at scale to make measurable impact on your business. And suddenly, we've got RPA that has emerged as the fourth pillar that companies are investing in. The simplicity of its approach is its beauty. It's the black swan. Nobody saw it coming. By automating business processes at the UI level, you're able to connect these disparate technologies in very fast and high-value ways. And this is what is making AI sort of at the center of gravity of where companies are investing in. It's become the centerpiece of digital transformation. It's enabling companies to reboot work, to let employees focus on what matters in terms of business outcomes, freeing people up from entering data and pulling reports from systems. It's helping you be you. It's helping you focus on the creative aspects of your job. So for example, if you're a salesperson, would you rather spend time putting data into applications and pulling reports from systems, or would you rather spend time working with customers, understanding their needs and helping solve their problems? What's going to help you convert more business? What's going to help you bring in more deals? It's definitely working with customers and helping solve their problems. What I'd like to do now is bring an amazing customer that's been with us through this journey, a company called Nielsen. And at Nielsen, I'm very delighted here to have Oleg on stage join me for a brief Q&A. Oleg, please come up on stage. Oleg, thank you very much for joining us. You've been an incredible customer, and I know Nielsen is on its path to digitally transform itself as a company as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how the transformation is going at Nielsen.
Well, first of all, let me tell you what we do as a company. Because just like UiPath, we are helping our customers in CPG industry for manufacturers and retail, and in media business to transform their business operations. For more than 90 years, we've been delivering measurement, insights, and analytics, everything what from people are watching, buying, and everything in between. Consumers as a center, an audience as a center of a lot of decisions with a lot of technology, options, and everything else. And what we're trying to do is to position ourselves to help our customers make faster, smarter decisions, and not just provide the data to explain what happened. We want to give them insights, tools, and capabilities so they can take action, make smarter decisions, because every single decision that our customer makes are driving billions and billions of economical transactions between manufacturers and retailers, advertising agencies, and media companies.
That's excellent. So going from being a data business to an insights business. That's amazing. Now, as you're going through this transformation, how is RPA helping you with this journey?
Yeah. As I mentioned, data is part of our DNA. And we measure everything, billions of transactions around the world. We are measuring what people are watching and buying. And you can imagine how many transactions are flowing through our data factories. As we are pushing the envelope and making advancements in our technology and analytics, what we're also creating is fragmented processes where our people becoming a glue to hold those processes together. So with the goal of RPA, we are trying to free them from repetitive manual work and let the robots take care of the large volume. Just to give you an example, one of the most exciting transactions that we've showed around our companies, it's a transaction that robot does an activity, a 30-second activity. But if you multiply that activity 100,000 times a week, you can see the benefit of having the robots take care of those types of transactions. And today, we're advancing from rule-based activities to teaching robots new skills. We're letting them read emails, accept images, invoices, receipts, etc. And our robots can even talk and make phone calls. So we are on our way. We've been on this journey for 2.5 years, and I'm very excited to be part of this community.
That's exciting to hear. And I'm sure that's making not just help you achieve your transformation objectives, but helping your employees a lot happier as well, so they're not having to go through the drudgery of all that work themselves.
Exactly.
That's great. You've been a very inspirational customer for us in the product team. We've learned so much from you as your journey of transformation is happening and how you're leveraging RPA. Tell us a little bit about what's next in your roadmap. What are your top priorities for 2020?
Well, we truly believe in democratizations of automations because COE, regardless of how big it is, it can just do so much. So we were looking for ways and for a partnership with UiPath to help us build tools and capabilities that truly every single person can automate without too much technical background. We're looking for ways to cut down on the time it takes to build a process map. Because, to be honest with you, building the robot is actually the easy part. It can be done in the weeks. Sometimes the same amount of time is working with the SMEs and trying to understand all the business exceptions, the rules, because at the end of the day, trust is the most commodity that we have. And we have to think not about only building the robots, but also what happens once the robots are operational. And finally, to help us scale, we're looking for ways to make the robots more smarter and integrate them, not just with the rule-based capabilities, but with a lot of intelligence, whether it's external or proprietary to our business.
It's excellent. Really exciting to hear. Oleg, I know you're talking about your scale story here right after lunch. I hope many in the audience will join you for that. I am really excited to hear more about that. So really excited to have you on stage. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, guys.
All right. So you came here today, woke up early in the morning to come listen to where the product is going. Where are we taking the product? I want to start by just one quick thing. UiPath has always been a very customer-focused company across every department. And us and the product team, we spend a lot of time with many of our customers and understanding the needs and things that they want us to do. So we have a lot to announce today. A lot of that, actually all of that, comes from working closely with our customers. So let me quickly recap and say, what have we heard our customers tell us in terms of where they want RPA products to go? First of all, they've told us they want us to extend the core RPA, the capabilities that are available in the platform today. Just keep enhancing the capabilities so you can meet the requirements of the customers and meet them what they're trying to do with their studios, with their robot, with their orchestrator. We've also heard, as we also, Oleg mentioned, we've heard customers say they want to democratize the ability for everyone in the organization to start building automations so that every business user can get involved, get engaged in how we build automations for things, for processes that are relevant for them. We've heard customers say we've done. We've gotten the low-hanging fruit in automation. We've automated the simple high-volume processes. We now want to go and do more. We want to automate more complex processes. We want to deal with unstructured data that humans are so efficient at dealing with. Why can't robots deal with that as well? So that is another core requirement, a core need that's come from our customers. Our customers have said that they want a way, it's too expensive to get somebody, whether a consulting firm or a COE, to go discover, sit with business users around the world in far corners of the company to go find what processes exist, how work is getting done. You want a way to scientifically understand how work is getting done so that you can figure out automation opportunities from data, right? Not from sitting down and interviewing people. That takes a lot of time. We've also heard customers want to engage every user within the company in automation. They want to make sure that we have an engaging interface where every user at the company feels like they have their own robot, that they can use it. There is no fear. It's an immersive experience that gets everybody engaged and involved. And last but not the least, we've heard companies want us to measure the impact of automation. What is automation delivering? How much cost have we saved? How much are we delivering from automation? So let's go into each one of them. What we've also heard from our customers is you want us to simplify the end-to-end process of automation. We see this as an end-to-end process, starting from plan all the way to measure. And we're going to walk you through a roadmap by envisioning how each of your key stakeholders in your organization will work with the automation across the entire life cycle of automation. These are the products that you love and use today. Studio is the tool that you use to build automation. It's a simple drag and drop interface that helps you build automation, delivering rapid value and ROI on your automation projects. The 2019 version of Studio will have lots of more capabilities that will make you even happier in consuming and building automations. Capabilities that help you drive collaboration across other developers that are working on those. Capabilities that help you with accelerated debugging and advanced debugging capabilities that drive productivity of developers to be able to manage variables and arguments very easily. Lots of new capabilities in Studio. Once you build the automation in Studio, you manage and deploy them on Orchestrator. Orchestrator provides a simple interface that can be used to manage your deployment of robots and the logs, either from a simple website, or it can be used in a very easy mobile application as well. The 2019 version of Orchestrator will have tons of new capabilities, from the ability to manage fine-grained granular access to permissions and roles through a folder-based concept, the ability to manage advanced SLA for queue items, a high availability deployment of Orchestrator. Lots of new capabilities you can see in the Orchestrator as well. And then robots will take the automations and actually execute them in attended or unattended mode. And the robots in 2019 are also going to have lots of new capabilities like background processes or background execution of automations, even for browser-based automations, native integrations with lots of line of business applications, some out-of-the-box IT automation applications, extremely better and engaging attended automation experience with things like keyboard shortcuts to start and stop processes directly. There's so much in the existing platform, and we'd like to cover it all, but we don't have time to do it right here. But over the next couple of days, we have the innovation sessions and tracks. We also have the demo booths where you can go and familiarize yourself with all the new capabilities and new enhancements that we're building in the core platform. I want to talk about the next set of innovation that we're focused on right now. So you told us that you want to expand automation to every business user, every tech-savvy business user in the organization to be able to go build automations. You want that user that has no programming knowledge, has never taken a programming class in his life, and does not intend to, still wants to be able to go build automations. You're an Excel power user. You do magic in Excel. Well, what if you can take your spreadsheet skills from Excel and apply it to building automation within UiPath? We're really excited today to introduce a new product called Studio X that every business user in your organization will be able to use to build automations. I'd like to invite Bogdan Ripa from the UiPath product team to come up on stage and give you a quick demonstration of that. As we go through these demonstrations today, I want to tell you what we're going to do is walk through an end-to-end scenario. And we're going to use a line of business scenario for employee onboarding and employee experience. But you can apply UiPath to any scenario as you know today. But we're going to use a consistent theme as we go through it. So we've got a tech-savvy business user, doesn't know any programming. Bogdan, you think they can build automations?
We'll see.
All right.
I think so.
Take it away.
Thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Bogdan Ripa. I'm part of the product team, and I'm here to talk to you about a new product we're launching today. We're calling it Studio X. And as Param was saying, today I'm working in HR. I'm an operator, and my workflow that I'm trying to automate is the following. Here on the right side, I have a spreadsheet with a list of employees that I would need to add into my HR business application. And those are employees that are relocating. They need relocation. Normally what I would do is I would go to this business application, I hit the add new button, and then I start adding the employees one by one, right? In my case, what I want to do here is actually automate this whole process. I have here my spreadsheet on the right side, and on the left side we have the business application. Now, let me just refresh this really fast. And here, also on the right side, I have Studio X. Studio X is going to be delivered as a profile in Studio. So for those of you that know Studio, it's going to be very familiar. However, there's a lot of things that are missing. There's no variables. There's no data types. There's quite a few things that we took away, and a number of things that we added to Studio so that Studio X, so that it's more friendly to the business user. So in my case, what I will do is first of all, I will tell Studio X that I want to work with this specific business application. For that, I will add what we call an application card. Okay? And then I will tell it this is the application that I want to use here on the left side. And now that I know what application I want to use, I will also tell it that I want to use a spreadsheet. So again, I hit this plus button. And here, I tell it that I want to use an Excel file. And then I will just browse to my Excel file. I have it here in my HR onboarding folder, but it could come from email, it could come from another system as well. So I hit OK. I can give it a name. I'll call it employees. There we go. And then with this Excel file, what I want to do is, again, I hit the Add New button here. And I want to start typing in for every row in my spreadsheet. I want to start typing in that data in the business application here on the left. So again, I hit the plus button, and here I have one common scenario that's called iterate through a table or a range in my spreadsheet, right? And that's what I want to do. I want to iterate. Then Studio X is right now it's connected to my Excel file because this is what the Excel file card does. And now as I hit this plus button here, I can actually browse through that Excel file, and I can say, you know, this spreadsheet has a sheet called Sheet 1. And in Sheet 1, that's where I have all my data. And I will tell it I want to iterate over the data in Sheet 1. And I also tell it, yes, this data has headers. And the fact that it has headers, if we go back to our spreadsheet here, the first line is going to be considered as the header line, right? And you will see how that information is going to be used in a second. Next, now I'm iterating over the rows in my spreadsheet. And as I'm iterating, I want to take the data in my spreadsheet and type it into the business application. So for that, I will say, yep, I want to type something. And the thing that I want to type, I will indicate where I need to type. I will type here under full name. And the data that I want to type is going to be, again, I'm going to use this nice plus button. Now we have a new entry called current row, and we have it because in the current context, we are iterating over the rows, so I'm looking at one row at a time. And under current row, I have here the name of the employee. And these are the actual headers in my spreadsheet, so I don't have to think about, how do I access that data? It's right here at your fingertips. So I'll select name. This will type in the name. I can do the same thing for the department. So I'll add another type into here. I will indicate the department field this time. And I could do the same for the manager, but we're gonna skip that one. Next, what I want to do is click this create button so that we add the actual employees. And as I'm doing this, you will see that a transaction number is being generated. So first I will click. I will tell it that I want to click on this specific button, the create button. And once I clicked, I want to get some text from the screen. So I'll say, yep, let's get some text. And I'll get the text, this specific identifier here. And the text that I'm getting, I want to save it in my spreadsheet, again, in the reference number column. Okay? So this will do is go line by line here, take this data, add it to my business application, and then take the reference number each time and add it into the reference number column. And let's see how this works. If the demo, there we go, it started typing. Okay, kind of works. That's great. Hey. So as you can see, I was able to do all of this without having to touch any code, without having to think about concepts like data tables, things that I would have to think normally in Studio. Now the great news is that today, both Studio and Studio X are available for you to download as our community version. So if you go to our website, and you click on choose community, this will take you, of course, I'm logged out. This will take you to our platform, our cloud product. And in the cloud platform, you will be able to see under the Resource Center, you will be able to download the preview of Studio. This comes with both Studio and Studio X, available today as a preview for the LTS version for 2019. Thank you. And today at 2:30, we're going to have a session where we're going to go more in depth on Studio X. It's going to be in the Da Vinci room. And also we have a booth for Studio and Studio X where we invite all of you.
Thank you, Bogdan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing power at the fingertips of every business user within your organization. It's there, it's ready. Go ahead, download it, try it today, give us feedback. We want to continue to make it better. Now, as we go through a journey of what we're able to do with Studio, we're going to continue to make investments in scenarios beyond business users. So the next area that we're investing in is a product called Studio T. Studio T is for testing automation. It is the centerpiece of a UiPath test automation solution that we're going to do that will take advantage of the same production-grade RPA that you already use in your business. It will fully support the capabilities of your quality professionals, all the way from test case management, from test data management, the ability to run service virtualization, load testing, API testing, mobile testing. What we're trying to do with launching the Studio T as a formal testing capability, we're breaking down the silos that exist between IT development and business so that they can now reuse the same practices, the same automation that was done in testing can now be applied towards business process automation as well. Another exciting capability that we're working on. Beyond Studio T, we have also launched a true multi-tenant SaaS service. Everybody here can go to cloud.uipath.com today. Sign up for your own cloud service. It will take you less than a minute to get started, to have your own version of cloud service available that you can use to start deploying automation in your environment. Have robots ready to go in minutes. It is a service that is built with all of your enterprise considerations in mind. It has high availability, it has the security, it has the ability to build compliance that your governance organization needs. It allows you to invest in helping drive automations and not have to worry about infrastructure. It is a SaaS service fully run and managed by the UiPath product team. That's also available. Please go ahead and try it. Now, what you also told us is that you want to take automation to more complex processes within your organization. Some of those processes are not fully autonomous yet. Every once in a while, they run into a situation where you want human input as part of their process. Some of those processes are not things that are completed at any point in time through a navigational sequence of things. Those are things that maybe run over days, over weeks, over months. Order to cache one such process, it's not something that gets done at a point in time. Order capture maybe, but order to cache maybe takes weeks, days, months, depending on how complex your production environment is. What we're announcing today is the ability to manage a long-running process with UiPath. The ability to suspend a process, to send an input to a human that gets a task inbox with the context of the validation, the decision, or the approval that it needs to do, and the robot is freed while the human is making that decision an hour later, a day later, to do other work in the enterprise, and resumes after the decision is made so it can complete that entire end-to-end state of the process. Beyond long-running processes, you also told us to address the complexity of automation within your environment. You want us to go focus on the ability for robots to deal with semi-structured or unstructured information just like how humans can do it. We are building a native set of capabilities that we're launching in this conference today that gives robots the same ability that a human eye has to be able to recognize what is on the computer screen so it can automate. It can detect controls just like a human eye does without having to worry about the actual technical rendering of that radio button or the checkbox or the button. We're also building native AI capabilities to be able to extract information, a template-less model for extracting information from documents like invoices or receipts. These skills can now be used by our customers to achieve scale by automating more complex business processes. I'd like to invite now Justin Marks and Liji Kunat from the product team to come give us a demo of what all this looks like in the product today. And as Justin and Liji are coming up on stage, we're going to go back to the same employee onboarding and experience scenario. Bogdan showed you how we can very easily onboard employees with Studio X, and now we're going to see how we're going to use human-in-the-loop capabilities to manage the relocation process and the vendors that are involved in relocating employees. Take it away.
Thanks, Param. Robots with AI run independently most of the time, but there's still scenarios where people need to either validate exceptions or give approval for tasks. Today, I'm going to show how UiPath enables you to build end-to-end business process automation with seamless handoffs between robots, people, and artificial intelligence. For this demo, I'm going to play the role of an RPA developer, and I've been tasked by my COE to build an automation for the accounts payable team. They're getting invoices that come in through email, and we need to take those invoices, extract data from them, and then set approvals out for any of the invoices that are over $1,000. So let's get into Studio and see how I build this using integrated AI. So the first step, I've already built this process, so I'm going to walk through it pretty quickly. The first step is I need to describe the document and the structure that I'm going to be taking in. And for that, we have a new tool called Taxonomy Manager, which can be launched right from inside Studio. Now, Taxonomy Manager allows me to describe all the different document types across my enterprise. And each of those documents is described by a set of fields. These can be simple fields like numbers or strings, or they could be more complex fields like the line items for the invoice, which is a table of additional pieces of data. And from here, we can see that quantity is obviously a number field. Once I've defined that taxonomy, I can bring that into my process. I can then digitize the photo that I've come in from the email, and that will extract all of the text and the structure of where that text was located. But most of these things are simply images. The moving companies have taken a cell phone photo of the signed invoice from their customer, so there isn't really a structure and there isn't really an easy way to extract that data. So before, I would have to do very complex logic. Now I have a very simple data extraction activity that allows me to couple it with a machine learning model that UiPath has created. We're providing out-of-the-box machine learning models for both receipts or invoice processing. But of course, you can point that to any ML model that you have created on your own. This is just an example of an integrated approach, but we'll also talk about some custom skills later on that you can use as well. So with the data extraction activity, I will be able to process that image, take the taxonomy, the text that's been passed in from the OCR, and really extract the true data that is embedded inside of that photo. Now, most of the time, that machine learning model will be successful on its own, but occasionally, if there's poor image quality, there might not be a high confidence rating for how that data has been extracted. And for that, we need to bring people into the loop to be able to validate those types of exceptions. And Validation Station is a new experience that UiPath has been creating that will allow that kind of presentation of the invoice and the extracted data and let a person be able to validate that end to end. Finally, I've just extracted those data points and I've put them into a data table that I can use later on in my invoice. So of course, the processing the invoice is only a part of the puzzle. I have to wrap that in a larger workflow. So after I extract the information from the invoice, I'm going to do a quick logic decision around if the invoice has a total of more than $1,000. And if it does, I'm going to have a request approval flow where I'm going to create a task that is assigned to a person to approve that the invoice actually is valid and it meets our requirements. So let's dig into that for a second. Requesting approval is as simple as creating a form that I'll present to a user. I can give that task a title, I can give it a priority, I can categorize it, and I can pass in all of the values of data that I've just extracted from the invoice processing flow. But that's not enough. I don't want to just talk about data. I want to visualize that. So we have a form designer that allows me to see a visual representation of what the employee that is approving this will see on their desktop when this task comes to them. As soon as you pass in data, the form designer will automatically generate a default layout for that, but of course you can drag and drop and move that as much as you want, or you can even augment that. In this case, I want to add a new comments field, so I'm going to drag this text area control, I'm just going to scroll down to below the invoices, and I'm going to drop the text area control right here. I can give that a name. In this case, I'll give it to be comments. And I can also data bind that to pieces of data using the field key. And it will take the name of the field and automatically look for a variable with the same name. So it makes it super simple for me to be able to build this automation and build this UI. I'll save this, and I'll close off this form. And now we have the form designed, but if I was to stop here, what would happen essentially is that this robot would sit there waiting for days, if not months, for someone to go approve that invoice. And we don't want to take up the robot's time. We don't want to monopolize that. We want our robots to be efficient. So what we now have is this new wait for form task and resume activity that does just that. As soon as the task is fired and we hit this activity, the robot puts the process into a suspended mode. And while it's suspended, that process isn't running, the robot is not taking up resources, the computer is completely free to run other automations. As soon as somebody takes action on that task, the process is now ready to be resumed, and the next available robot will pick it up right where this process left off and continue executing. So we're going to get highly efficient robots through this model. Taking a look back at the rest of the workflow after the approval comes through, if the invoice is approved, we're going to go submit a new process for setting the payment back to the moving company, and that's going to use our computer vision technology to be able to automate running through our ERP software. So the last piece of the puzzle that I haven't shown here is what about that, how I get the invoice, how do I download it? Well, of course, we could have our business users run the robot, and I can build that into the process, but most business users don't really know about robots. They work with business tools. And in this case, the tool that they're most familiar with is going to be Outlook. So instead of having the process extract the invoice, I'm going to build the robot right into Outlook using our new embedded SDK that allows me to build a button right here called Process Invoice, and that's now what the business user will interact with, right in the context of the application that they're familiar with. When I click Process Invoice, you'll see that the robot gets invoked, and we'll see the status of it right here inside of Outlook. And as it starts to run, we'll get updates of what's going on under the hood. Now, think about how much time and effort this would have taken if we hadn't automated this. People would have had to download these invoices, they'd have to extract the data manually, copy and paste it into different tools. This is the power of RPA in action. So now most of the time, as I mentioned, the ML model is going to have high confidence to be able to run completely autonomously. But occasionally, as with the cell phone photo, it's a little bit blurry, it's not able to find all the data, so validation station will be presented to the user to validate and fill in the missing, either validate information or fill in the blanks. In this case, the employee name was never found because there was a bill to and a ship to date, it didn't know what the difference was, and I can easily highlight that information, John Jeffrey is the employee, and I can extract that manually. Another place is the vehicles to automate in our data table. I can highlight that information, again, extract that, and now we're good to go. I've saved my extracted data, the process continues, and the task would go off and be filed at this point. And we'll take a look at that in a minute. The last thing I wanted to show you is that not only have we built these types of functionality into Studio, but we've now started to democratize the visibility of what these processes are doing for the people that don't work with Studio as well, for the people in IT that work with Orchestrator. So if I look at my packages inside Orchestrator, I can go navigate to the package I just uploaded, and I can get a full visualization not only of the history of the process, but of all of the details of the process. And I can see that drill through to look at the process invoice, see all the properties, et cetera. So now more people have visibility into what this process is doing. So now that we understand the process, let's actually see what happens when the business user gets that task. Luigi?
Thanks, Justin. Hi there. So I'm a business user in back office, and I'll share with you my experience of interfacing with RPA. So my day at work begins by looking at the task inbox for any actionables for me or my team. So I can look at the task inbox. It gives me an overview of the tasks that are created from an RPA workflow. Alternatively, I also get notified real-time on my mobile device as and when a process execution requires my input. Here is the case where when Justin just executed the process, it created a task for me which says it's a task relocation invoice for me to approve. Let me tap on it, and it takes me directly to the task details. Let me assign it to myself so that my team does not review the same request. So I'm presented with all the relevant information for me to go review this request. I can see that the invoice amount is well within the limits. I see some exceptions, but let me just take a note of it, which says to vehicle expenses, and I go ahead and approve. That's all that I have to do to complete this task, which also means that it continues the process execution in the background, event-driven, right, just with my action. Alternatively, I can also go review the task inbox to look at all the unassigned tasks for my department. I can look at the pending tasks. I could assign or reassign the tasks to ensure that there are no resource bottlenecks which is slowing down the robot. Right? So as we just saw, with just simple user interface, which is available in mobile as well as web, I'm able to interface with robots. I'm able to take benefit of RPA without having much knowledge about the RPA workflows or robots executing in the background. So with that, To know more about human-robot collaboration, this feature is available preview today with our core platform. So let's discuss more in our booth. We have a booth for UiPath apps, as well as a session on Wednesday to understand your business scenarios, how these features can help you in a more event-driven manner, in a more resource-optimized manner to help your scenarios wherever you need human-in-the-loop scenarios. So thank you so much, and look forward to hearing your feedback on this. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a great scenario. Humans, robots, AI, all working together to solve the complex business problems that you need to solve. Now, you may say, it's great that UiPath is building the skills, but I've also got a big data science team here. We're investing millions in building our own algorithms, and we've got all that stuff. How do we take all of that and operationalize that into our business workflows that RPA is driving? Today, we're introducing a product called AI Fabric, specifically to address that need, which is how do you take the models that your data science team has built and with just a few clicks, convert those models into skills within UiPath, and then manage the life cycle of that model, from not just converting that into a skill, but from execution of that model to deployment of that model to actually the learning as new observations are coming in and the robots are executing the end-to-end model and managing that. So the AI Fabric is a capability that lets you manage the life cycle of the model, from deployment to execution to updates, and it supports the entire life cycle along with model versioning and where that is going. Now, this is a new product, but we've already been working with one of our early customers, Heritage Bank, that has given us immense feedback on what we need to be able to do. So I'd like to invite from Heritage Bank today, David Johnson on stage to talk a little bit about what has their experience been working with AI Fabric. David.
Like Chef Robert.
David, thank you very much for joining us. And I'm interested in an RPA journey. But before that, I'm also interested in your journey getting here. And if there is an award that we give for a person that came the farthest to be here in Vegas, it probably is yours. So why don't you start with that first and then tell us about your RPA journey too.
I'll be in the competition. I know there's a few other from Brisbane here. Of course, I get the advantage of driving 2 hours to Brisbane Airport from regional Queensland. So, with a few stop-offs, 3 flights and something like 28 hours. Genuinely, UiPath people seemed really concerned for me last night at the rehearsal.
Yeah. Great. So you have lots of experience using RPA, and now you're taking what you've built in RPA and adding AI capabilities to that. Why do you want to add AI capabilities to your RPA workflows, and why are you starting with this living expense assessment process?
Yeah, to go back, so Heritage is a traditional retail bank, and it's been a really good story, UiPath and RPA helping us to transform that bank, over the past sort of 2.5 or so years. We started in 2017. This process is one that comes up pretty often, and off the back of a Royal Commission into banking in Australia, even being customer-owned, we have new regulation we need to deal with, and we need to do a really good job analysing transactions from our existing customers. The problem originally came back early on our RPA journey, where we had to, as part of putting together a loan application, we needed to look through the transactions where current customers that are doing new lending with us, and they needed to, the operators, the contact center guys, need to get a whole lot of data and then try and work that out, what the transactions are for what, and put that into an assessment template, which goes onto the loan assessment templates. Basically, so we're making sure we don't lend people money they can't pay back effectively. So that became quite a bottleneck in our loan process, and actually the experience for our existing customers was reasonably poor. It was a couple of hours work for a contact center agent to pull all those transactions together and do that analysis. And so they reached out to us, and just off the back of a similar process we'd done in financial crimes, which were also collecting a whole lot of data out of our core banking system and providing that to an analysis of that from a financial crimes perspective. So we extended that process. It's a really cool RPA process we use. It has a chatbot, and people request the analysis they want to do. The robots spring to life. They pull together transactions and send back the analysis. And we were doing that with a keyword classification model, keyword matching spreadsheet, being maintained by a guy in our contact center, which creates some challenges because new merchants come online all the time. You've got to look at the descriptions of transactions and try and work out what they are. And even with a good effort there, we probably halved the time that was required down to about an hour or 45 minutes, but still quite a big human effort to put that process together, to put that analysis together. So when we started talking about AI Fabric, we just had this opportunity to go, can we improve this process further? Can we continuously improve this process and try and use classification techniques and embed that intelligently into the robots so they keep getting better?
Great. Well, that's a really fascinating use case. Now, it is a belief that in most organizations, the data science COE and the RPO COE sit in different silos, and there's not usually a lot of connection points there. What was it like at Heritage Bank?
Look, that's true. I mean, we're probably these days, we're over with the CFO and strategy delivery. Our BI data science team, they also report through that line, so we're relatively close. But we didn't understand each other, that's for sure. And we certainly weren't leveraged off the great work that they were doing, and nor were they aware what we were able to do. The process has brought those two teams together to a way. I mean, we've worked with the UiPath data scientists as well in this case to upskill also. And we can now sort of leverage some of this great work that's going on in models with all the transactional data we have really easily, really quickly into a business process.
Makes sense. Now, this is really exciting. This is exactly what we wanted to do, is to be able to make sure that the data science COE and the RPA COE can connect and start speaking the same language, so we can bring more AI into business workflows and what we're trying to do. Now, at your bank, what other places do you see you can leverage AI Fabric?
Well, I mean, absolutely back into financial crimes.
Yeah.
So it was a really big use case for us, still a big use case for us. From financial crimes we went to lending, and we'll probably bring that intelligence back into financial crimes for a better outcome there. We're a retail bank, so we've got plenty of other loan products and plenty of other products and plenty of other processes which we can keep modeling with support from our guys and our partners and UiPath to enhance the intelligence of the robotics work we've done over the past few years.
Makes sense. I read a study some time ago that fraud detection is something that computers or AI algorithms are actually better at than humans, believe it or not. Apparently, they're able to do that better than us. So.
From our perspective, the other great thing about the automations is they're willing to work during the night quite happily. So
that's a good point as well. Well, David, thank you very much for joining us today, but more importantly, for helping us shape where our products are going with AI Fabric and helping drive the future direction of the product.
Thank you.
Really happy to have you here. All right. Well, what does all this look like in the product? I'd like to invite Marco Hidalgo from the UiPath product team to come up on stage and give us a quick demonstration of AI Fabric. Marco is going to use the same scenario of employee onboarding and see how a custom machine learning algorithm can actually help improve the employee experience. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you. As Param and David spoke to, AI Fabric vastly increases the scope of what can be automated by allowing our PA team and the data science team to easily work together. Let me show you an example in the context of natural language. As a new employee, Kelly Brown, is ramping up, she may have onboarding questions. And one of her questions may look something like this. Hi. I'm new. Can you help me set up my Salesforce account? Before AI Fabric, data science and RPA did not have the right tool to automate a process like this. With AI Fabric, we've made deploying massively scalable, highly available AI precisely in the context it's needed effectively trivial. Let me show you how by taking the role of our data scientist. To upload a machine learning model, all I have to do is go to ML Skills, find the machine learning model that I want to use, and give it a name. Once uploaded, I can just as easily deploy that machine learning model by navigating to ML Skills, finding the package that I want to deploy, and giving that a name. Now going to UiPath Studio and taking the role of the RPA developer, building this automation, I can leverage the work done by our data scientist simply by dragging and dropping an ML skill activity and finding the package that I want to use. And I can even test it right now. For example, I can ask, how do I set up my work Uber account? And as you can see, the model replies, to set up your work Uber account, click here. Now let me pause a couple seconds here because I think it's easy to miss the depth of what we've enabled under the simplicity of how we've enabled it. Every single process now has access to genuine AI value backed by a massively scalable cloud-native architecture, and we did that with just a couple clicks. At this point, we could go even further. We could, because we can recognize that the intent is about Salesforce account creation, we can trigger another process that provisions a Salesforce account, as you'll see in the sales integration demo, in the next demo. And I mention this because the way we think about AI Fabric is really part of an integrated system where products build on each other in a very cohesive way. As another example, imagine sending this model a question for which it predicts an answer with very low confidence. With Task Manager and Human in the Loop, we can enable an AI deployment to evolve as the company evolves. We can take this low confidence question and send it to Task Manager. A human can then process this task and generate new labeled training data, which we then pass to our data science team, who retrains a model and uploads a new package version into AI Fabric, where we've made very easy version management of both packages and skills. Let me show you how this whole end-to-end solution would work. Now, as you can see, we're reading each email, sending unstructured data to our machine learning model, processing the response, perhaps triggering the process that you'll see in the next demo, and finally replying. And here's Kelly's inbox. I hope this gives you a quick sense of how AI Fabric allows you to get more out of UiPath, not only in and of itself, but also compounds on the value of UiPath as a whole. And if I can give you a quick teaser of what's coming, because with AI Fabric, the consumption and delivery of AI will be in one single integrated platform, we will very easily be able to close the entire loop and provide a very seamless experience for the entire model lifecycle, from initial deployment to continuous learning, as well as provide AI compliance and traceability at scale. If you're interested in learning more about AI Fabric and about our vision, please visit us in our booth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Marco. That was amazing. That seems simple enough. I think I'm going to try it this afternoon. All right. So AI Fabric, where do we go next? Well, we know that you have invested lots in existing line of business systems, in productivity applications, and a lot of your business processes need to navigate those systems to be able to build automations. You want an efficient way to automate your business process across those applications, and you want it in a very quick and easy way to be able to do that. UiPath is building hundreds of such connectors across the major line of business systems, across the major productivity platforms, so that we can give you not only the connectors, but immersive experience like the ones that we just saw in the Outlook client to be able to help companies build automations and launch automations from where users are, from where they're getting work done. Our goal here is to build the fastest time to value, to get up and running quickly in your environment and reduce any unexpected deployment challenges. I'd like to invite our head of partner integrations, Brandon Brown, to come up on stage and give us a quick demonstration of what this team's been working on. As Brandon comes up on stage, we're going to go the same path of moving the employee experience and say that we've got a new salesperson that's joined the company and how we get the new salesperson all set up in Salesforce and productive with the productivity application. Brandon.
Perfect. Welcome. All right, so as you saw before, one of the scenarios we needed to do is create a new user for Kelly as part of the sales team. Now, we've got a lot of integrations to various systems, but the two I'm going to focus on today is specifically Salesforce and Google. All right? So when you saw that process kick off, based on that response, we wanted to create that new user into Salesforce. So we can do this very simply. All right? We've got a number of different activities to be able to read and write data to Salesforce, and one of them just happens to be user. So I can come in here and create a new record. I can search for the object I want to insert. So in this case, I'm just going to say user. I can map all the various fields that I may want to pass from that ML model that you saw before into this particular process, and so that we can auto-provision that account. Right? So once we hit done, that's it. We've just mapped those fields and to be able to provision that user. But again, there's a whole host of different things we can do within Salesforce. Right? But now that Kelly has a new account within Salesforce, she's really ready to get to work. Now, one of the things we want to do here is, when people first get onboarded, a lot of times, they're coming up to speed in different processes and things that are going within an organization. And so Kelly's first task is to help follow up on some leads for different marketing campaigns that are going on, right? And so that's what really she's looking to do. But these leads are coming from a variety of different sources. So in this case, we've got leads coming from Google Sheets, as well as some handwritten forms that perhaps were done at the booth at a particular event. So here I have some event scans, and we've got some people that I may have handwritten into a form, and we want to get both these forms doing handwriting recognition, as well as getting the actual leads from the sheets into Salesforce. So how do we do that? So let's take a look at the process. So we've got a number of things going on here, but the two I'm going to kind of highlight is, first we want to get the leads from G Suite, as well as do handwriting recognition through Google handwriting detection and bring those into a consistent format. Once we've done that, I can then iterate through that and create a new lead record, which is what I'm doing here. But then we also want to associate those leads to that particular campaign. So everything is grouped together. So again, utilizing a lot of these different activities to not just do the basic pieces, but making sure the entire data set and the hygiene is there within our line of business systems. All right? Once we've done that, the next step we want to do is bring everybody together. And this is where Google comes into play, where we're using G Suite to be able to create a new campaign folder on the fly so that everybody knows where this information is going to be at. What we're then going to do, especially since Kelly is new to the organization, we want to bring some documents to help her out, this being her first time. So we're going to go search Google and bring some campaign helper docs. And the last thing is we're going to go ahead and send out an invite in Google Calendar to bring everybody together so they can collaborate. Right? Now this is a great process, and we could run this process and automate it just like we do a lot of things within UiPath. But something new that we're kind of launching is how can we start these processes from other key line of business systems. And in this case, we want to do it directly within Salesforce. So we're launching a UiPath connector for Salesforce, and really that allows us to do as a native app within Salesforce where I can come in and configure this to say, what is my orchestrator instance? Great, I have that. Then I want to create a template. And in this case, I want to create a template to say, when the campaign status has changed, I want to do something, right? So what is that something? In this case, I want to start a job with an orchestrator. I'm going to tell it which process I want to run. So this is that Salesforce Google process. I'm going to tell it which robot I want this to run on. And then I'm going to say, what key information in Salesforce do I want to actually pass into my process? So here I'm going to use campaign ID, and we're going to go ahead and pass the campaign name. And that's it. All right? The last piece here is now that I have this template, I can then reuse it within Salesforce. So what I want to do is use Process Builder, which is just a native piece within Salesforce, and say, hey, when a campaign status is changed to complete, I want to do something. And in this case, that something is I want to run that campaign status template that we just created. And really, that's it. All right, so let's see how this works. So I'm going to take another campaign that we have here, and we've got a status currently that's planned, but we don't have any leads or anything imported in yet. And so I'm just going to go ahead and edit this and say complete. I'm going to hit save, and what that's going to do is now kick off that process behind the scenes. So that event is happening within Salesforce is going to talk to that process to do that automation. So if I come back and hit my summary review, a couple things have happened now. I've reached into Google G Drive and brought some key information and added into files into on Salesforce. I've also imported all the different leads from G Suite and all those handwritten forms, doing the extraction there. And also what we want to do is, since some of this information is also in G Drive, I want to be able to cross-link these systems together, again, really kind of bringing everything together. And the very last piece that we're doing here is, again, we wanted to send that invite to the entire team so they can kind of collaborate. So here we can see this particular event got created, and I've got a link to all of the leads directly in Salesforce. And I now have this campaign helper folder that where it's provisioned that folder on the fly for this particular food conference, and I've got all of my helper documentation and the original scans should I ever need to revert back to it. So again, this is kind of a way where we're using some of these integrations to combine multiple line of business systems to really come together and solve one problem. If you guys like to see more, we definitely have a booth on integrations, and please stop by. We'd love to chat with you. So thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Brandon. That was great. Great to see that immersive integration across the line of business applications, how you can get somebody really, really productive very quickly, leveraging the power of your productivity platform already. At this point in time, I want to invite a special guest to come up on stage, a very strategic partner of ours, a company that we've been working very closely with and bringing some of these products to market with you. I'd like to invite, at this point in time, Amit Zaveri from Google Cloud team. We've been working closely with Google across several of these initiatives. Amit, come up and join us here. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Great crowd.
So Amit, our teams have been working on several initiatives together. What we saw in AI Fabric, we've been working closely with your team, the Kubeflow team, and bringing, containerizing the models and launching them on Google Kubernetes Engine. You saw the integration that we've done with G Suite. We also have many of our customers today that are actually launching the UiPath platform on their private cloud deployment of GCP. Really excited with this partnership. But I'm sure it's really exciting times for you at Google Cloud as well. Can you talk a little bit about what is your current focus area for Google Cloud, and also what is the Google Cloud's partner strategy?
Sure. No, thanks for having me, and looks like an exciting event here, so we're happy to be part of it. At Google Cloud, we are definitely very excited about partnering with UiPath, and I think the work we're doing is to really kind of provide the ability for customers to really do the digital transformation, as well as be able to be more productive. And I think that's where a lot of the work we're doing with UiPath really kind of shines. We have customers in around 150 different countries, and thousands of customers are really transforming how they run their businesses. And we provide them three things. One is a distributed infrastructure as a service, which is probably the most scalable, highly performant, and secured environment for compute, storage, and network. Second thing we provide them is a digital transformation platform, and this is basically the ability to kind of manage data at scale, be able to also run and build different applications and modernize the existing applications, and technologies like Kubernetes and Istio and everything as the foundation for that. We also allow customers, of course, do analysis of the data they might have collected, be able to do productivity using productivity apps, and use AI ML in a much more sensible and meaningful way in this particular platform. And third thing we have done is also provided kind of prepackaged solutions, which are industry-specific and very easy way for customers to adopt our platform. So we kind of focus on industries like healthcare, retail, telecommunication, financial services, manufacturing, and public sector to make it very easy for customers to use our platform in a meaningful way as well, right? In terms of for partners are definitely the key part of our strategy in terms of how we go to market. If we have to take some of the technologies we're building to market, we really need the right kind of partnerships, both from the technology ISVs and companies like UiPath and others, so easily be able to run on our platform and provide the power to the customers who want to use those technologies, as well as SI partners to kind of be able to build solutions around this and take all these things to market as well. So that's partner strategy, and we want to make sure that we are probably the most focused around there and provide the easy way for customers and partners to kind of work on Google Cloud.
Great. Talking about AI, can you talk a little bit about Google Cloud's AI strategy, what new products and solutions you're launching, and how do you see customers use Google AI products for business automation?
Yeah, definitely. I think AI is the kind of center of our strategy in general from the product perspective. At Google, we have been investing in AI for many, many years, as well as innovating in that space. If you look at the kind of the innovation we've been doing, we have released around, I think, 60 different features and products over the last 12 months, encompassing things around call center AI, for example, document AI, retail AI, and we also provide a lot of pre-packaged models and data models for customers to easily use the technologies if they choose to use it themselves. We also give you AutoML to kind of train your own data sets and do the modeling as needed. So AI is definitely critical for us and an important investment and a big differentiator in the marketplace. And I think we'll continue to innovate and deliver a lot of those capabilities. We have customers like eBay, Cancer Society of America, for example, who are doing a lot of innovative stuff using our AI technologies and getting benefits to the customers and patients, for example. Excellent.
We're very excited about the partnership with Google. What excites you about the partnership with UiPath, and what do you expect our customers to take away from this event about Google?
Yeah, no, I think we are very excited about the partnership with UiPath as well. I think the mission you guys have about automating and bringing productivity to enterprise, this is something we really believe in as well. The technologies we're building is to really try to make customers more productive and effective around that. So the work we've been doing with UiPath is around 3 areas, as you're probably familiar with. One is to be making sure that we can provide the embedded AI technologies and conceptualize that as part of your applications and technologies you deliver. So it's more meaningful to the users. AI by itself, otherwise, is not really that useful. So the work you guys are doing to kind of take that to market is really, really important to us. Second is around productivity application work you just showed before around G Suite and how you can really modernize some of the workflows associated with that. And third is to allow customers, UiPath customers, to be able to take their applications, either extend them or kind of add things around it on our GCP platform, right? So the work, as you said, that now you can have UiPath easily available through the GCP marketplace. Much easier for customers to kind of take that and adopt it instead of having to do a lot of the work themselves. It's an important kind of step forward with the partnership we are doing. So I'm really excited about what we can do, and the future looks very bright as well.
Amit, thank you very much for being here today.
All right, good luck with everything. Thank you.
All right, so we've taken a look at the enhancements that we're doing across the 3 key life cycles of automation: the build, the manage, and run. I want to talk about a new area of investment that we're going to help you plan some of the automations that you're working on as well. So today, we're going to launch a set of products around process understanding that will help you scientifically understand what processes exist in your enterprise that can be automated. There's a scientific way to do automation. We'll also talk about how you can leverage the power and the knowledge of business users within your organization, the subject matter experts, to be able to crowdsource automation ideas and manage and prioritize the pipeline. Let's talk about the scientific part 1. What we're doing is, our goal is to help you do more and more automations, drive that flywheel, accelerate the RPA flywheel to automate more business processes that exist, more automation opportunities that hide. So what we're doing is, with the Explorer set of products, we will now have the ability, we will give you the ability to examine the way in which manual tasks are performed within the enterprise. We'll be able to analyze every click, every keystroke across a set of whitelisted applications that you identify, and be able to use that to identify how tasks are getting done. Or we can give your subject matters experts, every business user, every business analyst in the organization, a recorder-based approach where they can capture processes simply by completing the task that they're doing, and we can take that and easily convert that into a process definition document or into a UiPath workflow that can be completed by a COE user and drive automation within the enterprise. This capability comes to us through an acquisition of a company that was truly focused on this space, a company called Stepshot that has built a business over years of expertise working with several customers and understanding what are the needs around process discovery and what are we trying to do to understand the tasks, the keystrokes, the clicks, and be able to discover those processes that can be automated. I'm very excited today to also announce another acquisition. We've looked at the leading provider of process mining, the leading technology in process mining space, and we acquired a company called Process Gold. They really have the best technology that's available to be able to explore that technology. And I'd like to invite the co-founder and chief mining officer of Process Gold to come up here on stage and tell us a little bit about what Process Gold is able to do. So Rudy Kuhn, if you can join me on stage, that would be great at this point in time.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Param.
Rudy.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the UiPath family.
It's my great pleasure to be here. I cannot tell you how excited I am really to be here on stage. Thank you for having us.
So Rudy, who is Process Gold, and what is it that you guys do?
Well, for us, it has actually been quite a long journey. And I'm not talking about flying over from Europe, from Germany, and from Netherlands, because this is where our company is based. But I'm talking really about the 10 years we have invested in process mining. So we founded Process Gold back in 2010 in Germany. And the idea was to reconstruct the real business processes based on digital footprints from any kind of IT systems, basically to provide total transparency about Process Gold. And only in 2016, we actually, out of frustration with the existing tools in the market, we decided to build our own application, our own product. And I think end of 2016, we introduced Process Gold process mining to the market. And more or less overnight, we became, a vendor providing the most comprehensive, the most flexible, the most powerful process mining platform to companies like EY, like Porsche, maybe you have heard about them, it's a German car company, LG, and many others around the world. So that's what we are today. And we are now part of UiPath.
Very excited.
Exciting.
Can you distill what is process mining? Can you tell us what process mining means? Can you help us, in simple terms?
Oh yeah, sure, I can. Actually, I started my career with IBM more than 20 years ago. And when you ask people, please tell me, how does the process in your company really looks like? Have you ever tried that? What will people respond to you? They will say, actually, I don't know. Of course we have a process, but it's out. We have a documentation, but it's outdated the moment you print it because people are very creative when it comes to processing invoices and purchase orders and everything. So if you don't know what the process is, you do what consultants love to do. You do workshops. So you sit together with people in a room, you talk to them, and after a day of work, you have more business processes or more variations than you have people in the room. And sometimes not everything is completely true. You know this. So what we do, actually, we take a different approach. We take the data that is left behind when you execute a process with SAP, with any BPM system, workflow management system, production systems, whatever. So every keystroke, every transaction leaves some digital footprints behind. We take this data, and solely based on this data, we show you what the process really is, with all variations, all throughput times, bottlenecks, compliance issues. So basically, it's quite easy. Think about process mining as an X-ray system for business processes. If it hurts, or if you want to avoid pain in the future, just take the data, push the magic button, and we show you what the reality is. And once you understand what's really going on and where problems maybe come from, well, it's so much easier to solve the problem if you know what the problem is. And that's what we do.
Excellent. Well, so Explorer is focused on examining how tasks are performed based on where users are clicking, what keystrokes are coming, and able to discover those tasks. The approach with process goal is you're examining application logs, the various iterations, the various variations of those across your line of business system, the CRM, the ERP, the procurement, and all of that.
Whatever, end-to-end.
Exactly, the end-to-end process to be able to understand, how it is doing, where the optimization opportunities exist, and where can we go automate to make that optimization and make those automation better.
Yeah, and also afterward, after we applied RPA, we can take the same data, but now combined with the logs from the robots, actually to monitor how well your RPA implementation really works. So we start with process mining and we end with process mining. But I think we'll talk about this later.
Yeah, that's great. And then why is the combination so powerful, you think?
Transparency. You really need to understand what's going on. And once you understand what the process is, and now actually combine the front end and back end, then it's so much easier to figure out what should be, or if you should really go straight for automation, or if the process is not really good and you see this, then probably it's not wise to automate the shitty process. Sorry for that. It's better first to optimize the process and then go to automation. That makes much more sense, at least for me.
That makes a lot of sense. So now we have the capability to be able to go understand processes with process mining. We're able to document those processes with the Explorer set of products and then go automate them with the RPA platform that so we can manage the entire life cycle of how you go about understanding, optimize its processes, documenting them, and actually go ahead and automating them.
Yes, we can.
Very, very excited. Well, why don't we bring Christian up on stage to see what this looks like. Christian, would you join us?
Chris.
Excellent. All right, let's take a look at what this looks like in the product today. I'll leave it to you guys to show it.
Great.
Thank you. Like Param said, by process understanding, we mean enough information for you to identify, document, and prioritize your processes, and then afterwards to measure the impact. With that, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to the products that Process Gold and Stepshot bring to the platform. If I could have, perfect, thank you. So staying here with the HR onboarding theme, here we're looking at a relocation reimbursement claims process. This is the way the process actually happened, not the way it was designed. But this looks quite neat and tidy, wouldn't you say so, Rudy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what we sometimes call the happy path. So if all of our instances, or let's say cases, would follow this path, everybody would be happy. But unfortunately, that's not the reality. So, we have two sliders down on the screen, one for what we call activities and one for edges. So the picture you see on the screen, and please keep in mind that this was not designed by a human being, but it was reconstructed automatically by the algorithm we built in our platform. And what Chris just did, he just moved the slider for the activities to the right. So the system now took the less common activities and the less common variation and added them to the most common picture. So this is already a sort of exception. But there's never a straightforward process. We always have some kind of exceptions. I mean, that's just business. And we already see that some cases, we see the throughput times. We can actually show you all kinds of metrics like throughput time, value streams, whatever. But we also have the slider for the edges, and this is where it gets really interesting. So if we move to the right, then we see, actually, we have a loop there. We have a loop for the final check of invoice. Is it really final? Obviously, it's not. So this already is where we can probably leverage some efficiency. So what about if we go more to the right? Oh, any auditors here? Probably you will get a shock, because we see that some cases, for some reason, managed to bypass the approval step and went straight from final check of invoice to pay invoice, which, well, it happens, but it shouldn't. And with Process Gold or Process Mining, we can easily, later, and we can show you in the demo we have in next door, you just click on the path and you see exactly all cases and you know what the problem really is and where it comes from. So but we have more activities. Come on, show us. What else do we have? Oh, okay.
It keeps going.
Yeah, let's go to 100%. We are running out of time. And, oh my God, and if we add all edges, you remember the straightforward process? It looks so great, but that's not the reality. This is the reality. This is what we call the big bowl of spaghetti, or the spaghetti monster. Everything is connected in some way. So, here we see hundreds of different variations for a very simple process in one picture. Of course, we can drill down, we can filter on it and everything, and we can really give you the full transparency about what's really going on here.
So let's go to a point in time now before there were any automations in this process and see what we can do to improve it. So we see here in the process map by the saturation, the duration of each of these steps. And also here we see that in the bar chart. So we see that process invoice is by far the most time-consuming step, and also it's a step which all of our claims go through. So that looks like a great candidate for automation, and that was the first automation in this process. The next month, if we go forward here to June, they started automating it, and we see an immediate reduction in the duration of this particular step. And if we go forward another month, it's been fully automated, and we've reduced the step from 8 days down to 5 hours. The all-up throughput time of the process, however, was only reduced by about 6 days, and the reason for that was that the final check of invoice increased in duration. This isn't all that uncommon if an automation step is preceded by a batch job, because a robot is typically so fast that it will transfer that uneven workload to the next step down the road. In this case, to the poor team who does the final check of invoice, now getting overwhelmed towards the end of each month. But we may want to qualify this automation slightly further, knowing that a big part of that duration is it queuing up or it building up as a queue. Using traditional process mining of the back-end systems, however, this is the most detailed we can get. So to solve that, we've supplemented this information with data from our new product, Explorer Enterprise. Like Param explained, it's a solution to automatically discover computer-mediated manual steps. So these are all the clicks and types that go into these processes to facilitate these high-level transitions. What that allows us to do is it allows us to quantify the exact amount of human effort behind each of these steps and the cost. So we can now switch here to a cost perspective, and we can see that also from that perspective, final check of invoice is the cost list. And we can also switch here to total to see that in aggregate. Another early integration that we've built between the products, if I filter down on final check of invoice here and go to the details pane, is we've linked each of the individual traces, each of these events, to the corresponding human activity.
Chris, hold on a second. Guys, I really want you to understand what we are doing here, because we left the process mining level or level of details, and we are now going down to read to the tasks, to the single task behind the step that left a footprint in the backend system. So the activities we see here does not leave any footprints in your SAP log file or change documents or whatever. So we now jumped from the big activity level to a task level, to a single task level, what the user was actually doing. So, sorry for interrupting you.
No, thank you. That was a good clarification. So here we're looking at an auto-discovered human activity, which starts with the opening of an invoice attachment in Lever, a HR application. And these labels are auto-generated but can be edited for further readability. And we see the corresponding screenshot. There's then an invoice update step, followed by a couple of other steps before we have an approval step in SAP, and then a group of tightly coupled steps. And this is one of the techniques that we use so that you can explore also activities with hundreds or even thousands of steps and peruse them in a feasible manner. We can analyze this group as a sequence of screenshots, or if we want to, we can dive into it and zoom in here on the details of this particular one. Another feature of the algorithms that discover these sequences is that they also calculate the most characteristic and significant steps in each of these activities. What that allows us to do is allows us to get a simple overview of the most important actions in this activity, and our hope is that it also inspire redesign ideas on how this process can be improved. Another common scenario is that you want to double-click on a business rule exception, or you may have a known automation opportunity and you want to empower your subject matter experts to document that. For that, we have the new product Explorer Expert, which allows you to either start by drawing a simple flow diagram, or you can start by immediately capturing a process. If I select this approach and just go in here and add a preferred language to my Windows environment, and then go to language preferences, and we can add something like the Spanish version of Spain. Next, you see that all of this is being captured. I can click stop here, and the application automatically groups the different steps by application. I can add titles and descriptions here. I can double click on any one of these images if I want to call attention to one of these parts. I can further highlight it. I can describe a sequence of events that needs to happen on a particular screen. And I can blur things that are relevant or potentially sensitive. The other starting point is by starting with a flow diagram. This is great for describing the business rules that dictate the flow of a process. So here, for instance, we have a decision point. Do you have an account or not? And I can describe the different traces or the different paths that this process can take one at a time. Selecting this one, I can now start to capture from here, and I can explain what dictates which path I take. Both Explorer Enterprise and Explorer Expert allows me to export these processes into UiPath as UiPath workflows for further editing in Studio, and as Word documents. When exporting them as Word documents, I can either use one of the built-in template, or I can create my own. Here we're looking at the PDD of one of the built-in templates, which describes how to create a private Gmail account. So this is great for standardizing how you document your processes. And you can see that all of the information that we captured is enclosed here. So in summary, by showing you how your processes are executed, from the highest aggregate level down to the detailed clicks and types, by whom and how long they take, we believe you'll have the right tools to plan, manage, and optimize your automations, thus accelerating your digital transformation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you both of you. Thanks. Thanks, Christian. That was impressive. This is really cool. We're very excited about these capabilities and welcoming both Stepshot and Process Gold to the UiPath family. I want to talk to you about one more interesting capability that we're going to launch, very powerful, that lets you empower everybody within the organization, have everyone invested in the business of automation. It's an idea management platform that lets you not only generate ideas, but share automations, share components within your corporation, within the enterprise, and to be able to get the most value and get everyone engaged in the automation business. I'd like to invite Ulia Estrade from the product team to come up and give us a quick demonstration of what this capability looks like. As Ulia is coming up on stage, we're going to continue down the same scenario where we'll say how an HR person, HR ops person, can actually make a request for a process that they want to get automated. Ulia, thank you.
Thank you, Param. So I was listening to Bobby earlier when he was asking, how do we scale? How do we scale beyond the initial quick wins? How do we encourage the employees across the organization to automate more? In the following minutes, I'm going to show you a glimpse on how Connect Enterprise Hub can help you discover, prioritize, and track the processes to automate using a human-driven approach. And I'll be showcasing 3 flows. How do we capture automation ideas from the persons who know the work best, the employees themselves? How do we gather all the automation artifacts in one single place? And how do we manage the streams of automations at a consistent pace and quality? It all starts with the submission of an idea. So following the same scenario, imagine that I'm an HR employee, and I'm in charge of onboarding new hires As part of the process, I have to create profiles for new hires in different HR applications. So once I get onboarded into Connect Enterprise Hub, I'll be able to access this functionality, submit an idea, which consists of me answering a set of 9 questions expressed in a familiar language. And it all starts with a short description, followed by a short title for the process, and afterwards, a positioning in the process taxonomy. I will select human resources, recruit and onboard employees, set up new hires in the system. Next, I will answer a set of questions related to RPA, whether the process is rule-based, whether the input data is digital, how structured it is, whether the process is going to face any change in the next 6 months, and whether I have access to any documentation. I'm a person who performs the process, so I have access to a standard operating procedure and to some input-output files. One last question is to nominate who is the process owner who knows the process the best, and I will look for my colleague, because this person is going to answer a more detailed assessment later on. We can review the idea, perform any changes, and if everything is okay, then I can click on Submit. And the output of this flow is actually an automation idea and a high-level assessment, whether it's a good candidate or not to be automated. I get immediate feedback, and I'll be notified about its progress once something changes in the idea. Now, because we are talking about progress, this idea is going to go through a curation flow. And afterwards, we're going to build a use case that can be consumed by everyone. And I'm going to show you how this use case looks like. It's what we call here in the platform the automation profile page. It all started with the information collected from the submitter. It goes through a curation process in order to eliminate the duplicates. And then we are going to invite a process owner or subject matter expert that I nominated to fill in a more detailed assessment. And we're going to focus over here into defining the environmental stability, the process volumetry, the process ways of working, the data input, any additional information if it's the case, and the applications which are being used when performing the process. Using all this data, an algorithm is going to compute the automation potential, the ease of implementation, and the expected benefits to be obtained in 1 year if it were to automate this one. You all see these values in here displayed on the chart. Besides the assessment, and I'm going to show you later on where do we use these values, we have a section for a cost-benefit analysis, an ROI calculator, where a project manager can come in here, define the costs for having this automation implemented, define any other running costs related to the automation, and also correct the automation potential of the implementation based on the reality of the implementation. In the end, we get the return on investment on the automation, and we can showcase, we can offer positive visibility to the program manager around it. We also have a section for the documentation, where we can upload or embed links towards the documentation related to the process as is or to be. We saw earlier that we can obtain workflows using the Explorer Enterprise. We can obtain PDDs using the Explorer Expert. We can bring them in here. We can have the submitter uploading the documents like input-output files in here. And later on, when we're going to have the RPA developer working on the implementation, we can bring the design document, the development specification document in here as well. Because I have talked about the RPA developer, Connect Enterprise Hub is a place where you can upload the reusable components, and as an organization, you can decide what do you want to expose in here. So the RPA developers can come in each automation where they are assigned and link their reusable components to the automation itself in order to showcase that they have saved time from development and for the other RPA developers to learn from this experience. One last item, the collaborators, is a place where we can see all the persons who made this implementation, the automation itself, a reality. Now, I told you earlier about the assessment and where are we going to use the information. So we have all these ideas which are assessed, but what do we do with them? We want to enable the COE to have visibility around them and to manage this stream of automations. For this reason, we have the automation pipeline, where we gather all the ideas from the employees, so coming from a bottom-up approach, but it is also a place where we can bring the entries using a top-down approach, like we saw earlier using process gold using Explorer Enterprise, we can bring all of them in here. And later on, when it comes to taking decisions, because people want to have all the information at a glance, we can go into the decision pipeline, and by comparison, using these charts, we can see all the automations that were assessed and on which we need to take an action around them, whether we approve them or reject them or put them on hold for having them implemented. We can see by comparison the automation potential, the ease of implementation, the expected benefits displayed on the same chart. We can use the filters in order to narrow it down to focus on the areas which are important for the organization, and we can spot synergistic opportunities and perform bulk changes, bulk approvals of these opportunities. We have this vision of offering a robot for every employee. And in order to reach this vision, we need to find an easy way to democratize RPA. Connect Enterprise Hub is one of the pillars that is going to enable the democratization. I invite you today to join us in the breakout session dedicated for Connect Enterprise Hub, where we are going to have a more in-depth demo, and also join us at the booth today, tomorrow, and we can answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very exciting to hear. Now, we've done a lot in process understanding. The next thing I want to talk to you about is apps. Now, through the demos today, you've seen some engaging experiences that can engage end users. We're focused on creating a declarative application framework that you can use to create simple interfaces for your employees to use to hide away the complexity and the hoops that your employees have to jump to be able to get business work through all the lines of business applications that they have to be able to use. We believe in this automation-first era, automation is the application. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I'm going to show you that in terms of a quick demonstration that I will use, and I'll play the role of a new employee who's just started with the company, and I've got an application that my company has created for me to use. If you can change to the screen right here. All right, you can see it. So here's an application, the UiPath onboarding app that's been created by my company. It tells me the journey that my robot is managing to onboard me into the company. I can see all the things in one place. If I want to understand where do I request time off, I don't have to go ask 10 people to do that. It's all in there. It manages my journey. It manages what's going through with my life through this. On the right-hand side of the screen, I can see my checklist. I can see that I've got, my different onboarding things, and the next thing that I have to do is to choose a profile photo. Now, all of us have done this. We've, went and updated our photos in different applications that we use in our enterprise environment. We've got Slack, we've got Office, we've got all these apps that we're doing, and we have to do them one by one, and we keep doing them over and over again. What if we can build an application that can take a photo and have the robot go take that photo and cascade it to all the systems where my photo is relevant that it needs to be updated? So we'll see sort of how that experience works. We will take a photo, and we're going to use the camera right here to take a photo. Let me turn this around. Let me take this with the coolest crowd in Las Vegas right now. All right. I've got to make sure I remember to do this. All right. One more time. Awesome. I've got a photo now, and now let's see actually, didn't take that photo, sorry. We'll do one more time. I must not have clicked the right place. All right, but you get the idea. I won't do this demo. If I took a photo, it'll take the photo, it'll cascade it to all the line of business applications that I'm trying to use, and that way I don't have to go do that stuff. We can create a very simple interface that collects all the systems that employees have to use to be able to manage their journey, and order taker can use a very simple application to be able to do that themselves. So that's what we're trying to grow and create with applications. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we've created a lot of capability today. We've shown it to you. You can manage, you can plan your different automations. You can go build those automations. You can go ahead and manage and the distribution of those into the orchestrated deployment environment. And once you get all of that and the automations working, what you care about is what are the benefits of deploying that in your environment. Now, with all these capabilities, right, where you're deploying automations in bulk, we also want you to start measuring the impact. Can you actually tell the cost savings, the productivity that's achieved in your automation that you're doing? Can you measure the impact in terms of business outcomes? With UiPath Insights, we're launching a self-service BI tool that will give the modern charts and the ability to analyze and visualize the data. It'll also provide new capabilities to be able to not just slice and dice the data, but have statistical modeling built in to do things like forecasting and anomaly detection. I want to invite Harish Dadala at this point in time from the UiPath product team to come up and show us a quick demonstration of that. And Harish is going to walk us through the same employee onboarding scenario to see how we can get the benefits of that. Harish.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks.
So as you start to scale your RPA implementations, you might be interested in understanding what is the operational efficiency and what's the business efficiency that you can achieve. Now, how do you get this holistic visibility across both these key dimensions in one platform? And from an operational standpoint, you might be interested in tracking the efficiency of your processes, the productivity of your robots, errors and exceptions that might be causing issues to your automations. And from a business standpoint, you might be interested in tracking what is the ROI I'm achieving? How do I quantify that ROI in terms of time saved, dollars saved, and so on? So Insights is basically a part of the orchestrator, which means you can also get visibility into key process metrics, while at the same time acting on that data as well. What you see here is a dashboard which shows you the overall operational efficiency of your automations. As you can see, the number of processes that you've automated is about 35, and I'm just giving you an example of the HR department here. The success rate of your automations is about 97%. You've been able to achieve close to 5,000 hours worth of robot productivity, which is great, and also a very healthy robot utilization as well. Now, as you start to scroll down, you can get more details about finer details of finer issues related to your automation. For example, you can see the different processes that are ordered based on the number of errors. And all these are HR processes. And you can also see which are my most busiest robots and what processes are they really busy with. So you can get a quick health status of your overall processes. Now, if you're interested in understanding why this process over here, the interview scheduler process, is anomalous and why it has a lot of errors, you can click right here, which filters all the other elements of your dashboard. You can also scroll down to see specific errors and exceptions that's related to this process, so you can troubleshoot this in real time. Now, it's likely that the robots that are running this process, the machines that it's running on, are erroneous. And you can also get a forecasted utilization rate for your robots. So in the future, it's likely that this is going to go up to about 8.5 hours, so you might want to forecast your robots accordingly by allocating them to this process. So you can do so right here as part of Insights, since it's nestled inside the orchestrator. Now, another aspect that you might be interested in tracking is SLAs for your processes. You want to make sure that the accuracy and the success rate of your processes is high, and it's consistently high. So you can do that using the Pulse functionality, which is an alert feature that we offer as part of Insights. So you can either set threshold alerts to say if my threshold drops below 95%, then send an alert to specific members of my team. You can enter their names and their email addresses, and you can have these alerts sent across these different medium as well, like email, mobile, Slack, and so on. You can also get, now as you start using this product, it gets more and more intelligent over time. It learns the behavior of your users, and it makes those recommendations in real time. So as an example, let's look at robot utilization. This little light bulb here basically gives you automatic insights into specific metrics. Like in this case, it divides the utilization based on processes. It looks like the new hire setup process is consuming the most number of robots relative to all the other processes. And you can also scroll down and see more insights related to utilization, like the EMEA robot and the Bangalore robot seem to be working overtime compared to all the other robots. So you get all these recommendations automatically for key KPIs that you want to track. So as an operations user from the COE or as an operations manager, you can get a quick summary of your overall operational efficiency and manage it all within this platform. It's also easy for you to build a dashboard, and I'll show you how with just a few simple clicks. So let's say this process, which is anomalous, is something that you want to filter by, and you can duplicate this process, this dashboard. It creates a new dashboard here. I'm going to call this interview scheduler. And you can easily build new widgets by selecting the data. Let's call it the process name. Filter it for the interview scheduler process. And we can also add more data like the different robots that are running this process and what the runtime for these robots are as well. And you can change the visualization for these robots. And there you have it. That's a new chart that you just created. So it's very simple to use, and you can get incremental value as you start using these dashboards. The other dimension that I want to talk to you quickly about is the business KPIs. Now, as a process owner or as a product manager or as a business analyst, you might be interested in tracking what is my savings and how do I quantify the savings in terms of hours saved, dollars saved, and so on. It can be a lot more than this, but these are just examples. You can also set a goal for the year. So in this case, the goal for this automation is about $500,000. And it looks like you've got about 66 days to attain that goal, which seems very plausible given where you are. And you've also been able to achieve a healthy productivity of close to 7,000 hours worth of robots. Now you can also see which process is generating the most amount of ROI relative to all the other processes. You can see that in this case, the workforce forecasting process seems to be the most productive process amongst all the processes that you've automated. And you can also see the amount of money that you've saved for that specific process. The way you set this up is very simple. You can just add baselines for this process by entering the manual time and the hourly cost. And you can also enrich this further by adding more baselines for looking at some of the intermediate tasks that one needs to achieve for the entire process. Now, we also added a sharing functionality, so you can take all of these insights and share it with other users in your organization and department or group. The way you do that is you click on Share in the top right corner. And you can either copy-paste this dashboard URL to share it with other users, or you can send this off as a report or a PDF attachment, and you get a nice little PDF report which you can take and attach. And you can also have this scheduled to be sent on a regular basis, like a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So in conclusion, UiPath Insights provides visibility into your operations and your business, and it helps you track process efficiencies, robot productivity, and key process outcomes for your automations. Thank you.
Thanks, Harish. Take care. All right. So UiPath Insights to measure not only operational metrics, but also business outcomes and what you're able to achieve with your automation initiatives. Last, but definitely not the least, in this roadmap, we continue to make investments in our community to make sure that we continue to build the high-quality content that all of you need to be able to consume, to learn the products through Academy. We have a lot that we released today, and all of this will have very high quality content for you to be able to watch those videos, to take those exams, to be able to learn this content. This is an area that we'll continue to invest. You can keep continuing to come to the community, to interact, to mingle with other RPA practitioners. This is an important initiative for us, and we will continue to make investments there going forward. So I'd like to just summarize. This is what you know of the UiPath platform today. It's delivering immense value in this organization. The platform is getting really, really solid capabilities. This is what you get with the launch of the new capabilities with the conference today. You are able to expand the capabilities. Thank you. From plan, from build, to manage, to run, to engage, and to measure the outcomes with them. What we're trying to do here is make sure we can extend the platform to be an end-to-end automation suite. We set a vision last year to have a robot for every person. With the introduction of Studio X, with the introduction of Connect Enterprise, we are now engaging everyone in the organization to be able to have a robot, not just to consume them, to build them as well. Today, we've set a bold vision to say that automation is the application. We are using the concepts of forms, of human in the loop, the ability to build declarative interfaces, building a layer of simplicity that humans can interact with so we can address the productivity paradox, the challenges with productivity growth that we're facing. We also saw today that we made significant investments in helping you scale automations within your enterprise, with the AI capabilities to process unstructured data, with the capabilities with long-running workflows to manage the end-to-end state of processes, with the capabilities of process understanding so you can go discover those processes in far corners of your company. We are hoping that we're helping you scale automation to broader initiatives within your company. Thank you very much. Please keep the feedback coming.